Okay, welcome to this session. This is an open session today. As usual, we do some recitation in the beginning. We recall great kindness of the Buddha, and we pay homage to Buddha. And after that, we do the recitation of the Heart Sutra. Okay? Okay, so please go to the page number 10 of this book. You have this book? This book is page number 10, okay? So, while reciting these, try to feel the presence of the Buddha and Buddha giving blessings to us. So, that kind of thing will help us to kind of inspire a little bit. So, try to do that. To the founder, the endowed transcendent destroyer, the one gone beyond, the full destroyer, the completely perfected, fully awakened being, perfect in knowledge and in good conduct, Sugata, knower of the world, supreme guide of human beings, to be tamed, teacher of gods and human beings, to you, the completely and fully awakened one, the endowed transcendent destroyer, the glorious conqueror, the subduer from the Shakya clan, I prostrate, make offerings, and go for refuge. To the founder, the endowed transcendent destroyer, the one gone beyond, the full destroyer, the completely perfected, fully awakened being, perfect in knowledge and in good conduct, Sugata, knower of the world, supreme guide of human beings, to be tamed, teacher of gods and human beings, to you, the completely and fully awakened one, the endowed transcendent destroyer, the glorious conqueror, the subduer from the Shakya clan, I prostrate, make offerings and go for refuge. To the founder, the endowed transcendent destroyer, the one gone beyond, the full destroyer, the completely perfected, fully awakened being, perfect in knowledge and in good conduct, Sugata, knower of the world, supreme guide of human beings, to be tamed, teacher of gods and human beings, to you, the completely and fully awakened one, the endowed transcendent destroyer, the glorious conqueror, the subduer from Shakya clan, I prostrate, make offerings and go for refuge. When, O supreme amongst humans, you were born on this earth, you paced out 7 strides. Then said, I am supreme in this world. To you, who were wise then, I prostrate. With pure bodies, form supremely pure, wisdom ocean like a golden mountain, fame that blazes in the 3 walls, winner of the best, Lord, to you I prostrate. With the supreme signs, face like a spotless moon, color like gold, to you I prostrate. Dust free like you, the 3 walls are not, incomparable wise one, to you I prostrate. The Savior having great compassion, the founder having all understanding, the field of merit with qualities like a vast ocean, to you, the one gone to darkness, I prostrate. The purity that frees one from attachment, the virtue that frees one from the lower realms, the one path, the sublime pure reality, to the Dharma that pacifies, I prostrate. Those who are developed to the moral precept, to you, the sublime community intending virtue, I prostrate. Do not commit any non-virtuous actions. Perform only perfect virtuous actions. Subdue your mind thoroughly. This is the teaching of the Buddha. A star, a visual aberration, a flame of a lamp, an illusion, a drop of dew or a bubble, a dream, a flash of lightning, a cloud. See conditioned things as such. Through these merits may sentient beings attain the rank of all-seeing, subdue the foe of halls, and be delivered from samsara's ocean, perturbed by waves of aging, sickness and death. Okay, now we go to the page number 15. I prostrate to the Arya Triple Gem. Thus did I hear at one time. The Bhagavan was dwelling on mass of Vilchur mountains in Grajagriha together with the great community of monks and great community of bodhisattvas. At that time, the Bhagavan was absorbed in the concentration on the categories of phenomena called profound illumination. Also at the time, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Arya Avalokiteshvara looked upon the very practice of the profound illumination of wisdom and beheld those five aggregates also as empty of inherent nature. Then, through the power of the Buddha, the Venerable Shariputra said this to the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Arya Avalokiteshvara: how should any child of the lineage train who wishes to practice the activity of the profound wisdom? He said that, and the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Arya Avalokiteshvara said this to the Venerable Sharadatiputra: Shariputra, any son of the lineage or daughter of the lineage who wishes to practice the activity of the profound perfection of wisdom should look upon it like this, correctly and repeatedly beholding those five aggregates also as empty of inherent nature. Form is empty, emptiness is form. Emptiness is not other than form. Form is also not other than emptiness. In the same way, feeling, discrimination, compositional factors, and consciousness are empty. Shariputra, likewise, all phenomena are empty, without characteristics, unproduced, unceased, stainless, not without stains, not deficient, not fulfilled. Shariputra, therefore, in emptiness there is no form, no feeling, no discrimination, no compositional factors, no consciousness, no eye, no ear, no nose, no tongue, no body, no mind, no visual form, no sound, no odor, no taste, no object of touch, and no phenomena. There is no I element, and so on up to and including no mind element and no mental consciousness element. There is no ignorance, no extinction of ignorance, and so on up to and including no aging and death, and no extinction of aging and death. Similarly, there is no suffering, origination, cessation, and path. There is no exalted wisdom, no attainment, and also no non-attainment. Shariputra, therefore, because there is no attainment, bodhisattvas rely on and dwell in the perfection of wisdom. The mind without obscuration, thus without fear, having completely passed beyond error, they reach the end point of nirvana. All the Buddhas who dwell in the three times also manifestly, completely awakened to unsurpassable, perfect, complete enlightenment in reliance on the perfection of wisdom. Therefore, the mantra of the perfection of wisdom, the mantra of great knowledge, the unsurpassed mantra, the mantra equal to the unequal, the mantra that thoroughly pacifies all suffering, should be known as truth, since it is not false. The mantra of the perfection of wisdom is declared: Dayatha gate gate paragate parasangate bodhi soha. Shariputra, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva should train in the profound perfection of wisdom like this. Then the Bhagavan arose from that concentration and commended the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Arya Avalokiteshvara, saying, well said, son of the lineage. It is like that, it is like that. One should practice the profound perfection of wisdom just as you have indicated. Even the Tathagatas rejoice. The Bhagavan having thus spoken, the Venerable Sharadatiputra, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Arya Avalokiteshvara, those surrounding in their entirety, along with the world of gods, humans, asuras, and gandharvas, were overjoyed and highly praised that spoken by the Bhagavan. Tayatha om gate gate paragate parasangate bodhi soha. By the teachings of the three supreme jewels possessing the power of truth, by inner and outer hindrances be transformed. May they be dispelled. May they be non-existent. May they be pacified. May all negative forces opposed to the Dharma be completely pacified. May the host of 80,000 obstacles be pacified. May we be separated from problems and conditions harmful to the Dharma. May all enjoyments be in accord with the Dharma. May auspiciousness and perfect happiness pervade this place now. Okay. Okay. Now we go to the page number 7. The final paragraph. Okay. I go for refuge until I am enlightened. to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha, by my accumulations of the practice of giving and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I am enlightened. To the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha, by my accumulations of the practice of teaching and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I am enlightened. To the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha, by my accumulations of the practice of teaching and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings.
tabge duje shage riru shingi me tu rigi pingi serbu tu shage giru telo gocha ramjam sungro kun tabe mi kesan tharpan rebe jumo chu sewe jube tabge zeba sense shinyi nom lo kucha
Okay. Welcome to this session, a special session, an open session. I do believe very strongly that few of you are newcomers to the Dhamma discourses, and many of you had listened to Dhamma discourses in past, so it may appear like I'm repeating many things that you may have learned in past, but this is a disadvantage of having a kind of open session. So you have to understand it, okay? An advantage is anyone can come, so that is advantage of open session. So we have to understand that. So as usual, it's really important to cultivate a right motive. Those who had attended a lot of teachings in the past, they may be quite well aware how to cultivate a right motive and what does it mean. If some of you are new, then at least try to kind of build up a deep sense of kindness and care and kind of love towards others. Others means other from oneself, whoever it could be. Like in the best, it should kind of include all the living beings. If not, as much as possible. So if we listen to the Dhamma discourse with such a kind of proper motive, then our engagement, the time we spend here together, the effort we put will be kind of meaningful, will be a kind of fruitful engagement. So please do that. Okay, then the text or the topic that we are dealing today, using today, is the foundation of all good qualities. This is a text written by great Master Tsongkhapa. Of course, I do believe that many of you may have heard about great Master Tsongkhapa many times, and if any one of you is completely new, great Master Tsongkhapa is an indigenous Tibetan scholar saint. He was born in Tibet in the middle of 14th century, and then he was trained from a very young age. Some Western scholars refer to him as a child prodigy, but we don't have that concept in Tibetan community. That's a kind of a very, very westernized concept. So anyway, he was a kind of a very intelligent and gifted person from a very, very young age. So he was trained under kind of supervision of great masters, and somewhere around the age of 16, he moved to the central part of Tibet, which is known as the kind of epicenter of the culture and knowledge in Tibetan kind of society in those days. He moved there, and then he did a thorough kind of research and study of kind of Buddhist literature and Buddhist kind of body of kind of Buddhist canon, and he consulted almost all the outstanding scholars of that time, that period, in those were kind of dwelling in the central part of Tibet. And at the age of 25, he wrote a kind of a book named kind of Eloquent Sayings. And after writing that book, he was, when scholars saw that, they were deeply impressed by his knowledge and wisdom. And then after that, throughout the time, up to the age of 60, he kept teaching and kept moving from one place to another in Tibet, but kind of most of the time in central part of Tibet. And then throughout that time, he also composed a lot of books. So today, we have, as his kind of contribution towards the knowledge bank of human beings, we have 18 volumes of books. And 18 volume means, in at least in Tibetan kind of scripture, roughly around 400 to 500 pages. So that kind of 18 volumes he left to the future generation, and out of that, this is one of the shortest one that we are using today. And this text is I think it's all total, there are 14 kind of verses inside here. I think so. Yeah, it's 14 verses, all total. In these 14 verses, he is very briefly trying to present the entire kind of training of the path from first step towards the final step, the kind of that kind of training. And the kind of aim of that training is to attain the enlightenment. In the other terms, we also use the term Buddhahood. Enlightenment is a much wider term. Buddhahood is a kind of a specific term for something else. So it is like that. But the text is designed in a way of in a form of a supplication, kind of making a request and supplicating to the gurus and deities and the assembly of enlightened beings to bless my mind stream to have these realizations. So in that form, he is presenting the kind of these how to say that, the essential points of practices, while he is also supplicating the kind of assembly of enlightened beings and the gurus to give blessings, to have realization in these kind of essential points. So for your convenience, I'm reading in English from two different translations. I like to do kind of that kind of comparative translation kind of presentation, because in many occasions I do believe very strongly that who are kind of all the students, they are kind of quite well experienced and kind of have kind of a bit of that understanding. But those who are completely new, when they come across a translation, they end up in thinking that this is the exact, expression or exact kind of meaning of the text, original text, which was written in Tibetan, but it is not like that.
if we have 10 different translators translating the same text, every different translator will come up with a different expression and different usage of terms and all those kind of things. So sometimes it could be kind of confusing. It could also be kind of how to say, diluting the meanings. So it's really important to understand that. So when you are learning Tibetan Buddhist teachings through the translation, it is always good to compare different versions of translation. So that is almost in my blood now. At the initial stage, if I have no choice, if there is only one translation is available, I have no choice. Since there are multiple translations are available, it is a preference for me. So it's like that. So let's begin with here. The first verse in the Tibetan, I think if you listen it in Tibetan, probably it will give you some kind of lineage blessings. We have a term in Tibetan, oral transmission. Oral transmission should come from that kind of original language, and then it should go on. So in the original original text, the first verse in Tibetan is like this: Yonde kungi shirgyur tinjenje sushin temba lamgi tsawaru lebar thongne beba tumayi kuba chimbe temba chingilo. And then a translation that I'm using here is, I have two translations. First one is as it is appearing into the text prayer recitation book of the Tibet House. I don't know who translated this, so there is no such kind of how to say colophon and those such information. So I just write it. And the second translation, this is coming from the Alexander Burson. He is a German guy who has been translating the texts. So you have to understand it in that way. So the first version of translation, you may see it in the text here in front of you, the book. I think it is somewhere around page number 28, yeah? Yeah, page number 28. So it says, the foundation of all good qualities is the kind, perfect, pure Guru. Correct devotion to him is the root of the path. By clearly seeing this and applying great effort, please bless me to rely upon him with great respect. Now the same kind of verse is translated by Mr. Alex Burson as healthy reliance on a kind spiritual master. The foundation for all good qualities is the root of the path. Seeing this well, I request inspiration to rely with great appreciation through many endeavors. So you can see that the preference of a usage of different terms and then expression and all those things. It's like that. So what does this mean? Actually, as I told you, this text presents the essential points of the practices. The entire text is kind of put in an order which is already there in the Lambrin teachings. So Lambrin teaching is known as kind of in English, the graded path to enlightenment. A thoroughly organized kind of instruction to how to proceed step by step towards the enlightenment. So it's a kind of a very, very kind of a bulky book, and it could be possible that someone, if they see that, they get fully kind of how to say that, discouraged because of seeing the size of the book. So here, but it is all summarized. So, in this first line, this first verse, particularly kind of teaches us the importance of having a spiritual guide. In the other terms, we say guru, or we say, in the original Sanskrit term was Kalyan Mitra. Kalyan Mitra, and then we also use the term guru. It's kind of a, interchangeable. And then, so, and some other kind of a translation, they use the term man of integrity. A man of integrity with whom you rely upon for your guidance, for your spiritual training. So, how important it is. So it says that all the kind of good qualities that we gain in our life, that we build up in our life, is completely dependent on that kind of person. People may have a lot of argument against that kind of statement, but great masters of this tradition say that, in general, there could be a lot of things where you can be a kind of intuitive and kind of invent a lot of things by yourself. But when it comes to the Mahayana practice and training, every little kind of improvement and every little kind of that changes and development that you gain definitely have to come from your guide. Someone definitely needs to guide you in that direction. So from that point of view, it is really important to understand that, and by understanding that, to find a guide. And the guide, Lamrim teachings, very kind of clearly and vividly explains what are the qualities that you should be looking into the guide. The guide, why do you need that? To guide you towards the enlightenment. You are not seeking a guidance from that person to make you a billionaire or make you a millionaire. To do that, you have to kind of learn from someone kind of economic professor economy or some kind of other person. And here it is completely different. You are seeking the enlightenment. So what you need is a person who is capable to do that. So this is an important part. So in general, there are kind of a lot of qualities. Those are kind of explained in the text. But the most essential quality is the person should be tamed, fully tamed, and the person should be compassionate, and the person should be diligent, hardworking, and upon that, the person should be a knowledgeable one. If a person is not tamed, then that's the wrong person, according to Buddhist value. He is not capable to tame you. How can he? But in today's world, it's very kind of how to say, it's very strange that sometimes people claim that do what I say, don't do what I do. If the person himself is not capable to do what he is teaching them, what he is capable of. So the person who you seek to guide you in the spiritual path should be doing what he is saying. His words and his action should match. This is a very basic kind of condition. So if we have been doing that for a long time, in this country we won't be having a lot of these problems that have been happening in these past decades. So we need to understand that when we seek a guide, we need to really seek a qualified guide, which has kind of a qualification not just in terms of intellectual kind of capability, also in terms of, act, kind of a, lifestyle, and then also needed to be compassionate. if someone is not compassionate, even if they are so knowledgeable and they have tamed themselves well, but they won't be interested to teach other people. How could it be possible? And if someone is not diligent, hardworking, once again, though they could be knowledgeable, but they won't be willing to take the pain to teach others. So these are the very basic qualities that one should be looking for. And teacher definitely need to have more knowledge than the person to whom they are teaching. So these are the things, with such an understanding, we need to find a right kind of guide, and then once we find the right guide, then we need to kind of relate to that guide properly. It's a common mentality in a kind of our society, mundane society. If you don't pay me respect, why should I help you? It's a very common mentality. Just look at this from that angle. If you just keep, treating other people like nothing, then how could you expect them to help you? So the relationship, the commitment is very important. And just to lead a kind of peaceful and happy, good life, people need to engage into marriage. And marriage has a lot of commitments. In general, it is meant for one lifetime. And unfortunately, nowadays, it is breaking up within one lifetime many times. So, just imagine spirituality. Attaining the enlightenment is meant for many, many lifetimes. It is not just for one lifetime. So, the commitments and the pledges should be much more kind of importantly, much more kind of preciously maintained. So it has nothing to do with someone is controlling someone other is controlling that one. No, it has nothing to do with that. It is all up to the individual. If they want to take someone as their spiritual guide in order to benefit them, then they have to do it. Unless it's their choice. So we need to understand it in that way. Sometimes people kind of get, how to say, we have term for this, taken advantage due to these kind of instructions in the Lamrim, exploited. People say, oh, now you are my disciple, now you should do everything according to my guidance. And they say, oh, I need a kind of a good car, and then you have to struggle to buy it. So these are the things that it only comes from the unqualified wrong person. So if you have done that mistake, that's your mistake. It is not the mistake of the system. So no one can blame the system. Instructions are very clear. If you didn't study the instructions, then that's your mistake. Like if I buy a gadget from the market and I don't read the kind of these manuals of instructions to use it, and then I just kind of keep playing with it and it's broken, that's my mistake. It's not the mistake of the kind of maker of the gadget. It's not a mistake of the kind of those companies or who sold it to me. So we have to understand in that way. It's a kind of, and sometimes human beings are kind of, looking for to blame someone else for any problem. They just simply don't like to be kind of taking the responsibility for themselves. It is very wrong attitude. So it is needed to be understood. There are pros and cons, and then you need to be cautious. After all, who is responsible? And who is going to kind of, benefit and who is going to lose? The individual. So from the beginning, it's really important that move with a kind of open eyes, with open ears. Unfortunately, you can eyes can be closed many times, but ear remains open. So don't purposely kind of lock it. So then, next verse here is lenji nyebe tebe tensandi hindu nyega tunjin hegyu nyeze kundi nimbu lembelo gyunche mebe kewa chingilo. Now this one is in this kind of prayer book. The translation goes on like this: understanding that the precious freedom of this rebirth is found only once, is greatly meaningful and is difficult to find again. Please bless me to generate the mind that unceasingly, day and night, takes its essence. And Mr. Berzon's translation goes on like this: this excellent working basis with its respites, found but once, is difficult to obtain. Having realized its great importance, I request inspiration to develop without disruption an attitude to take its essence in all ways, day and night. So the meaning is, in the Lamrim tradition, there is a saying that the beginning of Lamrim happens from this previous instruction, how to relate to the spiritual guide. And then after that comes this part, like to understand how precious the present moment is. If we don't understand the preciousness and the value of the present moment, we may end up in kind of wasting it. So from that point of view, it's really important to understand that. So I often take an example from Western proverb. There is a very common Western proverb, most importantly it works in Europe and America. They say, time is money. If you cannot convert your time into money, you're wasting it. So according to the spiritual tradition, time is realization. You have to properly use it, and then kind of through that you have to develop the kind of spiritual changes in your spirit, in your mind, and you have to improve it. And if we are not capable to do that, if we are not doing that, then we are wasting time, a precious resource. So it's exactly kind of addressing that point. It says that the human birth comes very very rarely after a huge kind of investing of huge kind of causes and condition into it. So a thing that has been attained through investing huge causes and conditions into it, if it is just wasted in eating, collecting money, and then dancing and drinking, and then just traveling and kind of viewing some places, then it's a huge wastage. The kind of mind, the spirit remains just same, which was 10 years ago. It is same there. There is no improvement at all. But I've seen a lot of places, have enjoyed a lot of different varieties of kind of delicacies, dishes, or drinks. But what is the gain? After all the drinks and those dishes that is consumed probably have produced some kind of blood and some kind of certain kind of ounces of meat or maybe kind of some wastages also. What is the gain? So it's really important to know that. So how can we afford to waste such a precious resource that is, earned through investing a lot of kind of accumulations, great good karmas. So from that point we really need to understand it. And another thing is, upon that, the precious human birth that we have attained now, that we have achieved now, that we are endowed with, is capable of doing a lot of things. Just don't waste it in making money earning machine, or like working for some kind of fame or some kind of other kind of mundane things. In general, having money there is no wrong in that. And being famous, there is nothing wrong in that. But don't just put all your effort in that direction. Also do something that will help us in a kind of a longer, for a distant future. So it's really important to understand that. Like I used to tell my friends, everyone loves to enjoy the life. If we don't think about the future of our kids, kids will love to eat, drink, play. So why do we kind of push them to go to school? Because of the future. But as a grown-up adult, are we doing that? That we need to really think about. Life is not just limited up to the death. It goes beyond that. If life is just limited up to that, then that's fine. Then arises another problem. Then what you are is you are. There is no hope for any improvement. There is no hope to go for the infinite. The point of the death is the end. Everything is vanished into the air, that's it. But it is not like that. So it's really important to ponder on these questions, these points. Do kind of little bit of thinking, and with that understanding and that kind of thinking, contemplation, then try to generate a deep sense of willingness to really do something to achieve something valuable, not just limited up to these things. Very candidly, the lineage kind of masters of this tradition says that eating can be done by any beings. Every being needs to eat to survive. And there is nothing special for the human being. And drinking is done by every human being. Even like collecting the wealth, there are certain varieties of these beings, like some varieties of animals. They collect a huge kind of stock of grains. And some varieties of these insects, like bees, they collect a huge kind of quantity of these honeys. So even that is nothing special about the human being. So the human being should be doing something a little bit different than that, which goes beyond, which is aimed beyond the death. So it's very important to do that with that kind of understanding. Then the third verse is Luso Yo Chui Churushin, Nudu Jig Chiva Timbadan, Shive Jesu Luda Timashin, Karna Lende Chishin Dambadas, Nebatemuni, Neveso Chachi Chavan, Japon, Geso Tada Duber Chevra, Tata Pada Dember Chingilo, these two verses goes together to build up a kind of complete meaning of it. And these translation goes on like this. The first 4 lines in Tibet. This life is as impermanent as a water bubble. Remember how quickly it decays and death comes. After death, just like a shadow follows the body, the results of virtuous and non-virtuous karma follow. And the same verse is translated by Dr. Person like this. At death, my body and life force will perish quickly. Like bubbles on a moving stream, remembering this and having found stable certainty that after death, the fruits of my noble and dark actions will follow behind. And the next 4 lines. Finding firm and definite conviction in this, please bless me always to be careful, to abandon even the slightest negativity and accomplish all virtuous deeds. And that is translated by Dr. Berzin as, like a shadow to a body, I request inspiration always to take care, to rid myself of even the slightest, most minor action that would build up a network of faults and to accomplish every possible deed that will build up a network of constructive force. So, after these 2 points, 2 essential points, we go to next essential point. When we actually kind of study lumbering, there are a lot of points in between, but we are jumping to the kind of most essential one. So here comes into the picture to think about the death impermanence. You see, I met people who told me that at the age of 25 they didn't know that human being can die. But that is not a situation to many people. Many people know that human beings can die in a much earlier age. So, we appear to be desensitized of seeing, hearing a lot of kind of a death is going around. That this is also going to happen to me one day. So, whatever is happening outside there, we think like it is unrelated to me. We almost treat it like, well, it is not going to happen to me. It is just meant to those people who died. But it is not like that in reality. Every person that is born is destined to die. It is just a matter of time. Some dies earlier, some dies later. So death is inevitable. We have kind of millions of history books all over the world talking about the kind of heroes and all those things. But most of those heroes are gone. None of them are available today. Why? They are destroyed by the death. Even the greatest kind of these prophets, none of them are existing today. When we listen to their kind of gorgeous stories, it appears like maybe they are still kind of lively here somewhere else. But no, it is not like that. So what happens? No one can be spared by the death. It doesn't really matter if it is the most powerful person on the world, in the world. Most powerful dictators, most of them are gone. Nowadays probably we have some little dictators, those are scattered in certain parts of the world. So, the wealthiest person, those are also gone. Those lived in the past. And those people who are most powerful today, they are destined to go. Probably after 50 years, none of them exist. And then most kind of richest man on the planet Earth is also destined to go. So death is inevitable. It is going to happen. But it is not just that. It is going to happen any moment. There is no guarantee that it is not going to happen in this year and next year and this kind of things. But most of the time we take the time as granted. We think that, oh, that person has died, that person has died. But when it comes to us, we think, oh, I'm going to stay for another many years. But is there any guarantee? We have a very, very kind of a, how to say, heartbreaking news just kind of brought to me a couple of days ago. A regular kind of visitor to our classes, Mr. Mithun, I can recall his name very well because we had a kind of a very famous movie actor with the same name. So it's very easy to recall the name. He passed away at a very young age. He probably may have not kind of thought about that. So death will definitely come, but a big disadvantage is it may come any time. There is no kind of fixed period for death to come. It may happen any time. So with understanding these things, so we should be kind of willing to do something to go beyond the death. How to secure kind of a better life, how to secure a better path after the death. As I told you, if you are an atheist, just believe in this life and then after the death everything is vanished into the air, then that's fine. But then we need to sit down and we need to have a discussion to establish that there is a continuity. That is a completely different area. These instructions are designed in a way that those persons who listen to this and who is willing to train has some basic kind of understanding and basic kind of common acceptance of some views. So it's very important to understand that. Then what happens when the death comes? It is not like that which is claimed by some kind of a communist regime. During the communist regime in China, they used to believe that as you saw the kind of maize, you will kind of get the kind of a plant of maize and then get the kind of a grain of maize. And if you saw the kind of a rice paddy, you will get the plant of rice paddy and you will get the kind of a grain of rice paddy. So if a person dies, if a man dies, and then you will get a man, if a woman dies, then you will get a woman, and like that. But it is not like that. If it is like that, why do we have the kind of sudden inflation of the population? Why do we have that? The kind of the population of human beings on the planet Earth is kind of growing in an alarming kind of a pace. Why do we have that? So there should be one kind of clear answer to that. So according to the Indian spiritual tradition, it doesn't really matter, is it Buddhist, is it a kind of a Hinduism, is it a Jainism, it's equal. They equally accept the law of karma. But the nuances are differences. There are kind of a little kind of a subtle nuances where they have kind of a unique standpoint. In general, the law of karma is kind of accepted commonly and equally in all the spiritual traditions. Those are born in India. We have some exceptions, like talking about Charvak. That is not a spiritual tradition actually. It is a materialist tradition of ancient India. It is not a spiritual tradition. In today's world, we seldom hear about that. So, from that point of view, then we need to think about how do we move forward after the death. Then comes into the picture the role of the karma. How the karma plays a role to kind of push forward and give a direction to the person who has died here, and then kind of take them to that kind of a specific place where they are destined to go as a result of the power of that karma. So we need to understand that. And then there shows out the entire theory or the thesis of the kind of a law of karma. If we yearn for good, we need to do good. If we do bad, we will ripen we will harvest bad. This is the law of karma. Or this is, we can say, this is a natural law. Natural law is a kind of a scientific term. So it's like that. So we need to really contemplate on that. There are kind of minute details of the law of karma which can be learned. So when we think about that, then what should it be inspiring us to do? Like avoid doing all the bad things, negative things, harmful things. Do as much as possible the good things, positive things. So we should be doing that. So, in general, there is a term. In Hindi, we say, refrain from पाप, पाप से दूर रहो, and जितना हो सके पुण्य करो, do as much as possible the virtuous deeds. So in Tibetan the term is Dikpong Geduk. Dikpong means avoid or refrain from doing anything harmful, anything negative, anything bad. Geduk means do as much as possible positive, good, and helpful to others. So, and while doing that, what we need to do is we need to be cautious, be alert. If we don't be cautious and be alert, it is highly possible that we may end up in doing wrong things. Mindful, alert, cautiousness, these have a little kind of variations. When we talk about the kind of mental functioning, it's not like we are pointing to these visual things. The kind of borderlines are very, very thin. Sometimes it gets mixed up. So it's really important to understand that. So one should be always striving to do good and be cautious about getting engaged in anything bad, and then kind of constantly push forward oneself to do as much as possible the good things. Now the next verse. Now up to this point, according to the Lamrim instructions, what we have covered is the trainings of the small scope instructions, or we can say kind of a training of the lower level kind of instructions that is meant for kind of a basic common practitioners. Now, if you can move forward, then we get to the kind of trainings and instructions of the instructions meant to the middle scope practitioner. That is a middling level of practitioner should go further and kind of learn these things and contemplate and then kind of inspire themselves to do more. That is, 제배 미문 등의 군지고 이대 미룬 시배 분석이 이미 그리네 카르베 대발로 돈일 챔부르게 벌친기로. So the English translation is, samsaric splendors are unsatisfying and unreliable. Seeking them is the door to all suffering. Recognizing these shortcomings, please bless me to generate a strong wish for the bliss of the liberation. The splendors, the Dr. Brzezin's translation is like this: the splendors of compulsive existence, even when indulged in, never suffice. The gateway of all problems, they are unfit to make my mind secure. Aware of these pitfalls, I request inspiration to develop a great avid interest in liberation's bliss. So now we need to do a contemplation in our own life. What kind of life we are living. There are some Western scholars who say that living a life of full disaster. So what does it mean? You see, generally people think, I am living a happy life. I am living a secure life. I am living a kind of satisfactory life. And what is their meaning of happy life and satisfactory life and a secure life? Let's look into how we do it. Like in a materialistic world, every day we are bombarded with advertisement. What did they do? When you open your these TV, and when you open the kind of websites, you are kind of constantly bombarded with the kind of ads, commercials. What do they say? If you don't consume this product, you are not happy. If you don't own this car, you are not happy. If you don't own such a flat, you are not happy. If you don't wear such a branded cloth, you are not happy. We are constantly bombarded with this kind of commercials. And of course, we also think in the same way. Why do we these, cricketers, and why do these movie stars? They earn millions of dollars in endorsing a product. Because when they wear that, people think like, oh, he looks really cool. If I wear the same thing, I will also look like that cool. So, these marketing companies they do their homework very well, very well. And they don't care about what is the consequence of that. They don't care about it. They just care about earning money. They just care about their paycheck and then their kind of a profit. So, in general, what is happening? The entire world is converted into a huge machinery where every human being is trying to fit into that little hole, and then if you don't fit here, you are always constantly in fear of thrown out and become kind of irrelevant. So we are living that kind of lifestyle, though from time to time we may feel like, oh, I'm high, I'm happy. If we happen to get a shot of vodka, like, oh, I'm very happy today. This helped me to kind of reduce my stress. So those kind of things. But is it really the happiness? Of course not. If eating good food is happiness, then it should grow every time the more we consume it. But it is not, it doesn't go like that. If drinking vodka is happiness, it must grow every moment the more we drink, but it won't go like that. After some time it becomes a problem. So what does it show? The consumption of vodka is not happiness. Consumption of food is not happiness. Now, wearing that branded clothes, if it is the real happiness, then, you know, the more we wear that kind of branded clothes, we should be more happy. But it is not like that. If we wear 3-4 branded jackets together, it will be burden, you know. Isn't it? It will be a burden. So that shows that happiness is not there in the material. Happiness is just kind of a, you know, abstract thinking created by us. So if the happiness is there, then the more we consume it, we should be more happy. So consuming the kind of material belongings and material things, the more we consume, there is no end of this. Like, if I'm attracted by a kind of a, you know, $10,000 kind of a price branded kind of a, how to say, cloak, then after having that, I may probably, after 1 week or after a month, I may probably look for another 15,000 or maybe 20,000 kind of a valued cloak. So, desire has no end. Since the desire had no end, consumption of the material belongings won't really produce us a kind of a true happiness. At the end of the day, it will produce unhappiness, dissatisfaction. So, we need to understand this. It doesn't really matter. If it is about the money, if it is about the fame, if it is about the power, it is all same. If today we need kind of a $10,000, once we have that, maybe after a month, we may think like, oh, this is not enough, I should have the $20,000. So, the, you know, need will keep growing. And where it is connecting back to our own kind of mentality. So it's really important to understand that, and with that kind of understanding, we need to see that there is no real happiness and true happiness in kind of, you know, mundane consumption of the material things. So happiness should be searched somewhere else. And where? Because happiness is some kind of mental substance, so we need to search into the mind instead of materials. So with that kind of thing, what we need to develop is a real, genuine wish to move away from mundane attitude and then search for a liberation from that, a freedom from that kind of lifestyle, kind of a fully disastrous lifestyle. And then it may not kind of appear like clear, But let me tell you one thing. I do have a friend who was a monk long time ago, and then after he got destroyed, and then he went to Europe, and he started working in Europe. And he was working with his colleagues. And whatever he earned, his salary he take back, and then whatever kind of materials he can buy from that, he uses it, and then kind of live a quite satisfactory life in certain extent. But then he was working in a restaurant as a kind of waiter. And then this restaurant has a morning session and the kind of evening session. In the middle, they do have a kind of a break. So during the break, he used to sleep for a couple of hours, and he was always sleeping very well. And one day, one of his colleagues asked him, "How can you manage to sleep so well? Every day you sleep so well, but I cannot sleep like that." Then he told, "Well, I have nothing to worry about, so I can sleep well." Then he asked him, "Why can you sleep well?" "Well, I use my credit card a lot to buy a lot of things. So I always need to be worried. I always need to worry about how to repay it back. So that is stressing him now." Now, then why did you use your credit card so much? You should have calculated it. No, it's not like that. Because of my classmates have all those things, and how could it be possible that I should not have those things? So I have to have those things because of all my classmates have those things. We are equal. So that is the mentality. Problem with the mentality arises from there. So the other person, he don't need to compete with his peers and his classmates, so he is very happy with whatever he gets and he consumes, and that's it. But the other one is kind of purposely kind of stressing himself. So this is a kind of a full disaster living. So if we look into the kind of life from these little kind of points, then we will come to understand it. So with that kind of understanding, we need to find out a way how to kind of be from this kind of full disaster, mundane lifestyle, and then kind of lead a more peaceful and relaxing lifestyle, which is free from those kind of issues. So once we see that, then what happens here, the next paragraph, verse, 남다 삼바티 장와이 된다 시시 바유 친구이 땜베자와 소소 타발라 주바닝고 제를 챙기로. The translation is, led by this pure thought, mindfulness, alertness, and great caution arise. The root of the teachings is keeping the Pratimoksha vows. Please bless me to accomplish this essential practice. I request inspiration. Now the Dr. Berson's translation is, I request inspiration to take to heart with mindfulness, alertness, and great care induced by this pure motivating thought, the practices for individual liberation, the root of the teachings. Now here, the text itself is designed to be mainly used by the monastics as their handbook. So some of these portions not exactly applicable to a laity, but it can be made kind of applicable to the laities. It says, with such a kind of motive, willing to kind of free oneself, liberate oneself from this full disaster life, what to do? One should be living with kind of mindfulness and alertness, and that kind of mentality. A life constantly lived with mindfulness and alertness, from not engaging into those causes and conditions. So the best thing to do that is training into the precepts. Now, at a very basic level, Buddha teaches the common followers to train in 5 precepts. No sexual misconduct, no killing a human being, and no kind of drinking of intoxicants, and no cheating, and no kind of stealing. So these are the 5. So these are needed to be avoided. These are needed to be refrained from. That can be done by any person. If you kill a human being, you have to go to jail. So it's better to not to do that. And if you commit a sexual misconduct, once again, if you are found guilty of bigamy, you will go to the jail. So that's also an issue that goes against the kind of a basic law of nature. And then, if you kind of cheat other people, if you do it in a kind of a maximum size, or kind of in that serious matter, then it is also a matter of kind of a legal issue. Then stealing others' belongings or others' kind of wealth, of course, that is also a kind of legal issue. So it is a required basic human ethic. It is not something that is Buddha has kind of how to say learned from some kind of deities or some kind of those enlightened beings. It is, he devised it based on the kind of the needs and the requirement of the society. And these are required, these are needed to keep the fabric of the society in a peace and in tranquility. If these things are kind of not maintained, then it produces a lot of kind of social problems. So this is a very basic thing, and train in these things, and then constantly kind of do that contemplation, and then do those kind of things, and then beside that, to seriously, if you are willing to seriously train into the kind of attaining the liberation, then you need to train into concentration. You need to train. You need to learn the scriptures, the instructions, how to meditate, and how to kind of calm down your mind, how to kind of cut down those disturbing emotions, disturbing factors, and then calm down your mind, and then pacify it, and then learn the wisdom, learn the kind of a profound nature of the phenomena. And once you apprehend the profound nature of the phenomena, it will help you to get rid of the disturbing those factors, disturbing emotions, disturbing thoughts. So here, to train into the kind of middle scope path, we have the general reference of 3 higher trainings. Higher training into morality, higher training into concentration, higher training into wisdom. And this is kind of very common with Theravada, Shravak kind of a tradition, whatever else. There is no kind of monopoly of the Mahayana. It's very common. Then we go to the next verse number 7. And from this point onward, we enter into Mahayana tradition, Mahayana instructions. And in the Tibetan, it's right, it reads like this. And the translation rejects, just as I have fallen into the sea of samsara, So have I said, have all mother migratory beings, please bless me to see this, training Supreme Bodhicitta and bear the responsibility of freeing migratory beings. And the Dr. Berzon's translation says, just as I have fallen into the ocean of compulsive existence, so too have all wandering beings. They have been my mothers. Seeing this, I request inspiration to grow to Supreme Bodhicitta aim. To a Supreme Bodhicitta aim. Now, in this verse, the Master kind of trains us the way that we have kind of, understood that we are living a fully kind of a disastrous life, a kind of a very disturbing and stressful life because of all the conditions that we are living in. So, when we kind of do a contemplation, do a kind of a thinking based on that, on our own condition, then we should we should grow a serious willingness to be free from it for our own sake. Let's look into this attitude. If someone falls sick and they know that they are sick and it is kind of very disturbing, it is very painful, then they will constantly develop a wish to be free from it. Because they know that this is very disturbing and they will try to do everything to be free from it. In the similar way, we need to understand the samsaric existence is like that. As long as we feel comfortable in samsara, it is impossible to generate that wish to be free from it. Like, if someone has cancer but they don't know and they are comfortable with that, then they will never they will never have that urge to be free from it. And if they don't have that urge to be free from it, they won't be struggling for it. They won't be kind of trying anything to be free from it. So it's like that. So it's the inner feeling, experiential feeling should be like that. Now, the experiential feeling that we develop to our own self can be replicated to all other beings. What is the situation of other beings? Like, then we will definitely come to know that we are in the same boat. Same thing. So, why shouldn't I be caring for them? Just focusing on my own liberation, kind of how ignoring them is not right. Is not right for a good person. Is not right for a responsible person. That could be right for a bad person, a selfish person. And selfish ground, most of the time we don't like to have it. So, a kind, caring person should be kind of looking for others' well-being. So, the sense of empathy should be there. When we have sense of empathy, replicating our own problem to others and then understanding that he is not feeling comfortable. And then only that will help us to generate the compassion. Then, through that, if we can replicate that compassion to every living being, then it becomes a great compassion. So, a bodhisattva it's a very basic condition to be compassionate to all living beings. So, if we say someone is very compassionate, he takes care of the people who are in that vicinity, out of their family, we say, that's very kindness. If a person extended further to a nation, then we say, oh, that's a kind of unimaginable. That's a saint. That's some kind of great being. And just imagine a person expanding the compassion and sense of kindness to all living beings without a slight discrimination. That's unimaginable, isn't it? So that is the greatness of the Bodhisattvas. So here, through that kind of thinking of empathy, try to generate compassion to others, and then replicate to all. More and more people practically go that direction. Like in our kind of very candidly talking, in our real life, who is the most cherished person? Cherished thing in our life is our own self. That is the reason why couples get divorced. That is the reason why kids are abandoned. So it is the reality. It is the truth, but it's the bitter truth. Self is the most cherished thing. So then, if it really expands, it goes to spouse, and then kids and relatives like that. And most of the time it get blocked there. And then sometimes like a businessman can expand it to their partners. Like that. So it is like that. But it won't go beyond that. The mundane, and then all these are kind of always tied to benefits. I take care of my spouse because my benefit is connected to that. I take care of my kids because of a benefit is connected to that. So this is the kind of mundane way of caring and loving. But unconditional love and care of bodhisattvas have to break up that feeling. And the bodhisattva's love must have to be kind of caring of other beings just because of that is the only way. They are suffering. And every suffering person needs the care. Just imagine for ourselves. If I am very badly sick and in a very, very kind of a mentally low kind of a state, if someone cares for me, how do I feel? I feel very good. So it can be replicated to everyone. So have to think from that angle, then we will come to understand why the bodhisattvas are praised even by the Buddhas. So with such an understanding, we should be kind of generating a wish to liberate all the living beings from all these problems. And that, at the first level, should be done in an aspiration. And then, at the next level, should be done in a kind of engaged practice. There are two levels of it. That is known as generating the bodhicitta. Then, after that, the eighth one, Semsam Kejan, Sutim Namsum La Kumbamena, Chanjum Midu, but Lebertoni, Geshe Dorji Damdul. So, here, just having the aspiration is not enough. Aspiring to liberate other people, aspiring to help other people, in order to help other people attain the Buddhahood, that is not enough. So what we need to do is engage it. Take the bodhisattva vows and then begin walking in that path and then implementing those instructions, training into the 6 perfections. Then gradually the kind of vehicle will move forward. So if we don't train properly, just having the aspiration is not enough. So what is needed to do is needed to be taken the vows. Take the vows and pledge to train into the bodhisattva conduct, the 6 perfections, and then engage into it with a great effort or great diligence. Then only we will start moving forward. Then gradually we will come to kind of accomplish these things. So I didn't read that, yeah, Englishman, yeah? Even if I develop bodhicitta, but I don't practice the 3 types of morality, yeah? I will not achieve enlightenment with my clear recognition of this. Please bless me to practice the bodhisattva vow with great energy. And Dr. Burzen's translation is, to take responsibility to free these wandering beings, even if I have developed merely this resolve, if I lack the habit of the 3 types of ethical discipline, I will be unable to attain a supreme purified state. Seeing this well, I request inspiration to train with strong efforts in the bodhisattva vows. Training in the bodhisattva vow means training into the 6 perfections, the conducts of the bodhisattva. The 6 perfections are, namely, practice of charity, giving, generosity is the same thing, charity, giving and generosity. It's just a different term. And then second is practice in morality or proper ethics. And then practice in patience or forbearance. These are the 3 kind of very basic one. And then goes on practice of the perseverance or kind of effort, joyous effort or perseverance, and then concentration, and then wisdom. These are the 6 perfections we needed to train into in order to attain the Buddhahood. Then, out of the kind of 6 perfections, the previous one mainly, in general, it talks about the conduct, but then it kind of particularly focus on the 4 kind of perfections: giving, kind of morality, and patience, and the diligence or perseverance. Now the next verse is in Tibetan. Now the in English translation is, once I have pacified distractions to wrong objects and correctly analyzed the meaning of reality, please bless me to generate quickly within my mind stream the unified path of calm abiding and special insight. Dr. Burzen's translation goes on like this: I request inspiration quickly to develop on my mind stream a path that combines the pair, a stilled, settled mind and an exceptionally perceptive mind. By stilling mental wandering toward objection of distortion and properly discerning the correct meaning of voidness. So here, this verse particularly kind of explain about the practice of concentration and the wisdom. Practice of concentration and the wisdom, meditative concentration and the wisdom is needed to be combined. If it is not combined, then it won't lead us to the kind of aimed goal of enlightenment. So it is possible that someone may master in the practice of meditative concentration, but they never have the kind of wisdom generated. And someone kind of has certain kind of level of wisdom generated, but not yet kind of generated the concentration. So it's really important to combine these things, supplementing wisdom to these meditative concentration, and meditative concentration becoming a kind of basis of kind of enhance the power of wisdom. Then it really works very well in order to kind of get to the resultant state. So this is explained by this verse, and then the next verse is the verse number 10. Now up to this point we have dealt with a Jamo Mahayana path. The Mahayana path from the kind of tradition of perfectionist or perfection of wisdom tradition. Now from this onward, there's kind of a higher specific training into the kind of the tantric tradition or into the mantra tradition. Tumu namjanu do gyurba tiba kunji chogyur dorjete kesan kyu jungo tambater dela ni du jubur chingilo. The translation goes on like that. Having become a pure vessel by training in the general path, please bless me to enter the holy gateway of fortunate ones, the supreme Vajra vehicle. And Dr. Berzin says, when I have trained myself through the common path and become a vessel, I request inspiration easily to board the diamond-strong vehicle, the supreme of all vehicles, the sacred fording passage for those of good fortune. Now here, entering into the tantric training, the mantra training of the mantra tradition requires some kind of a basic, kind of a condition. One basic condition is to enter into that tradition, the practice. To enter into that practice, what we need to do is we need to take the initiation. So, if someone is not initiated into any kind of tantric practices, they are not permitted to do the tantric practice. So, once a person is well kind of prepared through the previous instructions, training into the previous instructions, then they are become a suitable vessel to carry on the tantric practices, practices of mantra path. So to get into there, one have to kind of enter into that path by taking a kind of initiation. So so the master is supplicating to please bless me to have that. So enter into that path. Then the next one, the 11th. At the time, the basis of accomplishing the two attainments is keeping pure vows and samaya. As I have become firmly convinced of this, please bless me to protect these vows and pledges like my life. Then, when I have found, Dr. Berzin's version, when I found uncontrived certainty in what has been said, that the foundation for realizing the two types of actual attainments is the closely bonding practices and vow restraints kept totally pure, I request inspiration to uphold them even at the cost of my life. So, once someone has entered into tantric practices, into the practice of the mantra tradition and mantra part, what happens? They need to train themselves well into the pledges and the commitments. There are particular pledges and the commitments of the tantric kind of initiations. By taking the initiations, they are pledging themselves to kind of live a particular variety of lifestyle. Day-to-day conduct, live a particular variety of conduct. So the pledges are needed to be kept intact and unbroken in order to kind of gain the kind of meant benefit, the aimed benefit of tantric practice, or kind of a tantric training, or a kind of a training into the mantra path. So one should have a unshakable conviction in that. So it is a requirement. With such an understanding, they should remain kind of intact with the pledges and the kind of commitments. And then the next verse, number 12. The translation: then, having realized the importance of the two stages, the essence of Vajrayana, by practicing with great energy, never giving up the 4 sessions, please bless me to realize the teachings of the Holy Guru. Dr. Berson's version says, then, understanding correctly the essential points of the 2 stages, that are the essence of the Tantra classes, I request inspiration to actualize them in accord with the Holy One's enlightening speech, never straying away from the conduct of 4 daily sessions of the yoga. So, just maintaining the pledges intact and unbroken, keeping the commitments pure and kind of full is not enough. What we need to do is we need to go further into the training in order to attain the enlightenment, or the aimed enlightenment, the objective. What we need to do is we need to learn the entire kind of body of the tantric literature, and after learning the entire body of the tantric literature, we need to kind of understand the essential points. What are the essential points? The training into the 2 stages. The training into the 2 stages are the generation stage and the completion stage. So, need to learn training into the 2 stages. Actually, training into 2 stages is a particular kind of terminology used in highest yoga tantra. It is not a kind of common terminology used in all the tantras, all the levels of tantra. So it is a particular terminology coming from the highest yoga tantra. So need to train in them. And how to train in them? To train in them doing meditation practices. Meditation practices at least 4 sessions a day. Morning session, and then afternoon session, then there is the evening session, and those kind of things. In the morning, actually, before the kind of midday, there are 2 sessions actually done, and then after the midday, there are 2 sessions done. So it makes like that. Okay, so it is needed to be understood in that way. But just getting into there is not going to get us the real resultant kind of achievement. And then, so that's it. The training is there, and then after that, it is more or less like a prayer to bless, to have the practitioners long life and healthy life, and be free from all the obstacles. So the 13th one, the translation goes on like this. Like that, may the gurus who show the noble path and the spiritual friends who practice it have long life. Please bless me to pacify completely all outer and inner hindrances. Dr. Berzon writes, I request inspiration for the feet of the spiritual mentors who indicate the excellent path like this, and of friends for proper practice to remain firm, and for the masses of outer and inner interference to be stilled. So the gurus who teaches, who guides us, also need a long life, and then life free from the hindrances, and then problems, and then pain, and then kind of a sickness. And then the practitioner as ourselves, we also need that. And then all the others, those are involved with us, the kind of Dharma brothers and sisters, they also need same thing. So we pray for that. Okay, we pray for that, and then request the kind of assembly of enlightened being to shower with us with that kind of blessings. And the last one. Kewa kundu yangta lama da jeme chugi pela longju ji sadalamgi yunde rabdoni dorji changi koban yurdo shows. Translation: in all my life, never separated from perfect gurus. May I enjoy the magnificent Dharma by completing the qualities of the stages and paths. May I quickly attain the state of Vajradhara. Dr. Burzen's version is, may I never be parted for all my life from perfect gurus. May I put to good use the all-around perfect Dharma, and by achieving in full all good qualities of the stages and path, may I quickly attain Vajradhara supreme state. So it's a final one. Once again, it's a supplication and prayer. It says that may we never get parted away from a kind of qualified good masters. And then without getting parted away from them, what we need to do is constantly train into Dharma and enjoy the Dharma. And then as a result of that, may we kind of climb the ladder of these stages and paths and grounds and the paths, and then consequently at the end attain the kind of attainment of the Vajradhara. It is same as Buddhahood. So that is prayer is done for that. So with this we have kind of completed the short, very short kind of explanation of this text, and I do hope you may have learned something new. Unfortunately, we don't have time for question answer, so I do hope you will save it for next time whenever there is someone else for teaching here. Okay? So thank you very much. Now we are going to do the recitation, the ending recitation. Okay? So while we do the ending recitation, we should be kind of dedicating whatever merit we may have accumulated. 306, yeah? Sure. It's 306. We go to the 306. From my two collections, vast as space that I have amassed from working with effort at this practice for a great length of time, may I become the chief leading Buddha for all those whose mind's wisdom eye is blinded by ignorance. Even if I do not reach this state, may I be held in your loving kindness for all life, Manjushri. May I find the best of complete graded paths of the teachings, and may I please all the Buddhas by my practice, using skillful means drawn by the strong force of compassion. May I clear the darkness from the minds of all beings, with the points of the paths as I have discerned them. May I uphold Buddha's teachings for a very long time, with my heart going out with great compassion, in whatever directions the most precious teachings have not yet spread, or once spread have declined. May I reveal this treasure of happiness and aid. May the minds of those who wish for liberation be granted boundless peace, and the Buddha's deeds be nourished for a long time, by even this graded path to enlightenment traversed completely, due to the wondrous victorious conduct of the Buddhas and their children. May all human and non-human beings who eliminate adversity and create conducive conditions for practicing an excellent path never be separated in any of their lives from the purest path praised by the Buddha. Whenever someone makes an effort to act in accordance with an tenfold Mahayana virtuous practices, may they always be assisted by the mighty ones, and may oceans of prosperity spread everywhere. In the land encircled by snow mountains, you are the sources of all happiness and good. all-powerful Chenrezig Tenzin Gyatso, please remain until samsara ends. Due to the merits of these virtuous actions, may I quickly attain the state of the Guru Buddha and lead all beings without exception into that enlightened state. May the Supreme Bodhicitta that has not risen, rise and grow, and may that which has arisen not diminish, but increase for more. I dedicate the merit thus gathered towards the realization of the deeds of the prayers of all Buddhas and Bodhisattvas of the three times, and to the upholding of Dharma of teaching and realization. May I in all lives through the force of this merit never separate from the four wheels of Mahayana vehicle and accomplish all the stages of path, renunciation, bodhicitta, perfect view, and the two stages. With the wish to free all beings, I shall always go for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha until I reach full enlightenment. Inspired by wisdom and compassion, today in the Buddha's presence, I generate the mind of full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. I go for refuge to the Triple Gem. I confess the negativities individually. I rejoice in the virtues of all beings. I hold the precious Buddhahood in my heart as long as space remains, as long as sentient being remains. Until then, may I too remain to dispel the miseries of the world. The path of the union of emptiness and compassion is lucidly explained by the protector of the Dharma and the beings of the Snowden. You are the lotus holder, Tenzin Gyatso. We supplicate you that your wishes are fulfilled spontaneously. May the operations of the evil thoughts and deeds of the negative forces of humans and non-humans who harbor malice through perverted prayers against the teachings of the Buddha be totally vanquished through the power of the truth of the three jewels. Throughout my future lifetimes, may I always be guided by Arya Manjushri and be able to uphold the Dhamma in general and the teachings on dependent origination in particular, even at the cost of my life. Okay? Okay, thank you very much. Thank you.
Sure. Few words.
Sure.
Thank you. I'll just get the mic.
So we would like to, on behalf of the Tibet House, thank Venerable Rinpoche. He's been here for the last 12 days. Despite the high Delhi pollution, he still came. So we're very glad. Majority of the teachings happened for the Nalanda Master's course. So our director, Venerable Geshe Dorji Damdul, is traveling. So this kind of arrangement where teachers like Rinpoche comes and teaches us, it's extremely precious, allows us to continue with the course. And then we have these general teachings also, which benefit so many beings, you know. So thank you, Rinpoche, thank you so much. And we request, it was actually quite auspicious also that the first teaching you gave was Labab Duchen, you know. So if people who don't know, it's part of Buddha's stories that he went to the higher Tushita realm to give teachings to his mother, who, the biological mother, and then came back to our planet. So it's considered very auspicious. So if you believe in that, so we request you to come again. And it was also very, very auspicious because Rinpoche is heading the Gelug International Foundation, and I think all the texts Rinpoche you taught were Lama Tsongkhapa.
Sure.
Yeah, the first general teaching,
Sure.
Entering the Middle Way, commentary by Lama Tsongkhapa, and this today's text. So, in a way, I think he has a very strong karmic connection with Lama Tsongkhapa, and we hope we've established a strong karmic connection with Rinpoche, you know. So we wish Rinpoche all the best for future, and we sincerely hope you keep coming to Tibet House and keep blessing us with your teachings. Thank you.
Thank you. My pleasure. Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you very much. Oh, yeah, sure.
So I also request Office Secretary Damdul to present this beautiful thangka and a small souvenir from the Tars.
Okay, I think I should better stand when Buddha comes. Yeah. So, I think we have to face the camera. Yeah, this is always required. Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. We do hope we fulfill the wishes of the Buddha. The Buddha's wish was everyone be liberated, you know. So. Okay. Hold it. Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much. Once again. So, thank you. Okay. Okay. I really enjoyed being with the Dalits, and though it was a kind of the air was a little bit bad, contaminated, so it was giving a kind of a breathing problem and kind of throat problem, but it was worth to do that, have it, and I do hope you have learned something new, and keep working on. And if we keep working on, that will constantly bear the fruit. If you stop here and then after that move somewhere else and then after that come back again, then you won't get anywhere. So it's really important to keep constantly working. That will bear the fruit. Okay? Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. You're not tired?
Let's go again.
Sure, that's fine. That's much better than kata in the kind of cold climate. Yeah, it has a better use. Sure. You have to work hard. It takes a lot of effort. I don't even have that. You have your one up there.
These two are regular architects.
Oh, okay.
Thank you for your teaching.
Thank you. This white scarf has a lot of kind of symbolism behind it. It stands for your purity of your heart to whom you offer it. In India, normally you offer the flower. In Tibet, they don't have flower throughout the time, so they are quite inventive.
Yeah, okay, yeah, take her from there first.
It's coming here. Okay. So I do have a string for her, okay? So you told me that you need a string. Hey! Hey! Look, don't bite me, okay? Don't bite me. Don't bite me, okay? Okay, that's good.
You can.
Okay. Okay, done?
Yeah.
Thank you very much.